Well, hello there, folks. Today I have a very special episode of Tasting Notes. This time we're going to be reviewing my very first whiskey on this show, and everybody who knows me knows I love my whiskey. The first bottle of whiskey. What could it possibly be? It is Eagle Rare, 10-year-old single barrel. I haven't even opened the bottle, never had it before. I just want to say a few things. Basically, Eagle Rare is owned by Buffalo Trace Distillery, which I tried Buffalo Trace for the first time not long ago, and it really made me happy. So I have high hopes for this. I'm expecting it to be outstanding. Also, this episode is going to be a little bit different, not just because I'm trying whiskey for the first time on the show, but I also have something special planned for after I taste this. I love the sound of popping a cork. I think that's a rather conservative pour, personally. I'm not even a conservative person. Very liberal with my pours. So it smells super oaky and dessertish. Dessertish isn't really a word, but has lots of vanilla, anise, I think I can smell. Oh, the smell is amazing. Toasted bread of some kind. Burnt toast? No, it's not burnt. Oh my gosh, this it smells amazing. Okay, so basically what I'm picking up on is, we'll say whole grain toast, butter, it has that melted butter smell to it, vanilla, and anise. But I mentioned on a previous video that I've been tasting anise and everything, so don't take that too seriously. It might just be me who notices that. Wow. Just wow. It makes me want to cry. Lots of dessert flavors. On the finish here, I'm getting some chocolate, more vanilla, something else. Like it has a grainy taste to it. I would say it's kind of like corn, like buttered corn. Actually, that butter smell is coming out quite nice on the palate. And as I mentioned, the finish is very dessertish. The smell is dessertish too. So. Vanilla and chocolate on the finish, for sure. There's something there when I just first put it in my mouth that I can't put my finger on. And then it kind of gets enveloped by the dessert and bready qualities. Now I have to figure this out. Oh man, I gotta take small sips of this, because when it just first touches my lips, it's amazing. It's so smooth. I've honestly never had something this easy to drink as a spirit. And it is actually 45%, so it's not to be expected. I do taste some honey, and that oakiness I noticed, I find it's mostly from the aroma. I don't really pick it up much when I'm tasting it. Too good. It's like a sweet. Yeah, it's a very sweet flavor, which is why I say honey. But there's something else that I can't put my finger on. It's like something to do with dessert. I'm actually picturing some kind of cake with like toffee in it, like sticky toffee pudding or something like that. This is totally a dessert whiskey. It's like I just don't even know what it is. It's probably something I haven't... That taste is definitely something I haven't had very often, so that's why I can't put my finger on it. But it is really good. Wow. I want to cry because that was so good. So I did mention that I had a little bit something a little bit special this episode. So I stirred up some sugar and dissolved it into water. And the reason for that is because I'm going to make an old-fashioned. Now, I like my old-fashions neat. Don't think I put too much in there. The bottle's almost full, so... So yeah, the bitters I put in there, it was just Angostura bitters, and the type of sugar I used was yellow sugar, aka brown sugar. This is a 2.5 ounce glass, actually, so there was about half an ounce in there when I started, so now half an ounce of dissolved sugar. So now this is a 1.5 ounce old-fashioned with Eagle Rare single barrel, 10-year single barrel rather. Oh man, this is honestly, it's such a good cocktail. I don't even know what to say. This is basically a dessert sip, like a dessert shot. It's so good. Banana bread with like honey on it, and it's so good with the Angostura. This might even be the best bourbon I've ever had. Maybe even the best non-Scotch whiskey. I don't like to compare Scotch in the same categories all the other whiskeys because it has a very different character to it. I enjoy Scotch just as much as I enjoy whiskey, so makes sense. It's another kind of whiskey, and it has a lot of history behind it too. Eagle Rare itself has tons of history. I would recommend checking out the wiki page, which I'm going to link down below. I'm going to recap a few things I read off of there. Basically, Eagle Rare is one of the last whiskeys to come before the age of small batch whiskey distilleries. So it wasn't originally owned by Buffalo Trace. It was... I don't know if it was originally owned by Seagram's, but Seagram's owned it and sold it to Buffalo Trace. So that's a little bit of the history behind it. It started out as a 101 proof bourbon, but I think it was not a single barrel at that time either. You can't get the 101 proof anymore. They only sell the 10-year and 17-year single barrels. So if you do find one of those 101 proof Eagle Rares, please, by all means, send me a link to a review that you yourself wrote, and I would be very interested to see that. As for this deliciousness, well, this is actually only half of my plan. I have more for you guys. One cocktail is not enough for my favorite category of spirit. And I've been waiting to have Eagle Rare for a long time. So I just bought it today. And something else you may know, if you know that I like whiskey, is that I also love Manhattans. I'm not going to use a very expensive vermouth for this. Just Martini Rosso, so that might be the downfall of this, if there is any. If you've read my blog before, you know that I've had a bad experience with Manhattans being made with very good whiskey. Basically, the first time I tried Buffalo Trace was as a Manhattan, and it was not a pleasurable experience. It kind of disappointed me. I basically had a burst of vermouth flavor, and the unfortunate thing is I love whiskey, and I love Manhattans, but I did not like that drink. It just tasted like vermouth. So I actually had another Buffalo Trace Manhattan, and that one was much better than my first. And I've had Buffalo Trace neat several times since, and I can say that my first experience was not a fair one. Whoever made it was, well, they didn't know what they were doing. First thing you'll notice is the color of this whiskey is actually, I would say, kind of lighter than most whiskeys, most bourbons rather. It's a very subtle taste when you make it as a Manhattan. It's really sweet though. I would almost maybe recommend making this as a dry Manhattan. Using sweet vermouth maybe makes it too sweet, possibly. So it would be a very good digestive if you made it this way. And we already know. I said it was basically like dessert as it is, and I'm getting kind of tipsy. Another thing about me, I'm a super lightweight, so this is probably gonna make me drunk. In fact, I'm very tempted to just finish the whole thing right now. Yeah, there is too much vermouth in this. It's very unfortunate because I did say I love Manhattans, but I think the problem is Buffalo Trace has some really, really good whiskey under their belt, and a lot of them are kind of more like a dessert spirit, I would say. So I'd be curious to try this with dry vermouth. Don't make it as a Manhattan, and if you do, try it with dry vermouth. That's my recommendation for that. As for a rating, so I'm a little bit tipsy now, guys. I'm nevertheless gonna rate this stuff, and the rating I'm gonna choose is 95. So I actually looked online to see what kind of scores it got, and I saw a lot of 92s, 90s. I didn't see anything as high as 95, but nevertheless, I'm not gonna take into account those scores. I was really impressed by this whiskey. It's honestly the best whiskey I've ever had. So 95 it is. As for the 5-point scale, I'm not gonna do any quarter stars with this rating. This is a 5-star whiskey in my mind, so it's as good as it gets, basically. Well, it probably does get better. I imagine the 17 year is better. It did rate better online. My personal opinion is that it might not be better. I haven't tasted it yet, so I don't know. But I suspect it is. And I don't know where I was going with that tangent. But thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this review, please share to your friends, consider subscribing, and like. Thanks. Go buy some Eagle Rare.